Hey Virgo, before we begin, I just want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you who's been showing up here, leaving comments, sharing your stories. I read them, I feel them, and I'm genuinely grateful for this community we're building together. Um, to everyone who's new here, welcome. You're exactly where you need to be. Um, your presence matters. Now, let's get into this reading. Stop scrolling. There's something you need to hear right now. Something about the energy around you. Something about a situation you've been watching or maybe trying not to watch. And what I'm sensing, what keeps coming through, it's bigger than you think. Stay with me. Because there's this feeling, isn't there? This sense that something's happening beneath the surface, that certain people are moving in ways you can't quite see, that there's activity, planning, momentum building around something. And you've been trying to figure out what it is. You've been picking up on signals, little things, subtle shifts in how someone's acting, what they're saying, what they're not saying. And part of you has been wondering, am I reading too much into this? Am I creating something in my head that isn't actually there? But what if you're not? What if what you're sensing is absolutely real? Have you been feeling this awareness that something's in motion? Let me know in the comments if this is already resonating. Because here's what I keep picking up on. There's someone or maybe a group of people who have something in the works, not something small, not something casual, something they've been thinking about, planning, preparing for, possibly for longer than you realize. And the energy around it feels significant. Like whatever this is, it matters to them. It's taking up mental space. It's something they're invested in, something they're building toward, and you're connected to it somehow. Either you're part of what they're planning, or you're going to be affected by it, or your name has come up in conversations you weren't part of. But here's the thing, you don't have all the information yet. You're sensing the energy, you're picking up on the undercurrents, you're noticing that something feels different, that people are moving differently, that there's something going on that you're not fully seeing, and that's creating a feeling in you. Maybe curiosity, maybe anxiety, maybe anticipation, maybe all three at once. Does this feel accurate? Because what I'm sensing is you've been in observation mode, you've been watching, waiting, trying to piece together what's actually happening from the limited information you have. And it's been uncomfortable, hasn't it? Being on the outside of something, sensing movement but not being able to see the full picture, knowing something's building but not knowing exactly what or when or how it involves you. And here's what's interesting about this moment. You could drive yourself crazy trying to figure it out. You could spend all your energy analyzing every little detail, replaying conversations, looking for clues, trying to predict what's coming based on patterns and probabilities. Or you could do something different. You could center yourself in what you actually know, what you actually have control over, what's actually real right now in this present moment. Because here's the truth. Whatever they're planning, whatever's being prepared, whatever might be building in the background, it doesn't change who you are. It doesn't change your worth. It doesn't change your path. It doesn't change what you're capable of handling. And the shock you might feel when things become clear. So if things become clear, that shock isn't going to break you. You've been through enough to know how to handle unexpected information. You've been through enough to know how to adapt, how to respond, how to stay grounded even when circumstances shift. So let's talk about what's actually happening right now. Right now, in this present moment, you're aware that something feels different. You're aware that there's energy moving around a situation or person that involves you in some way. You're aware that you don't have the full picture, and that can feel unsettling. But you're also aware of something else. You're aware of your own strength, your own resilience, your own capacity to handle whatever comes. And that awareness, that's not small. That's everything. Have you been noticing this in yourself? This quiet confidence underneath the uncertainty? Drop a comment and let me know. Because what I keep sensing is you're not as worried as you might have been in the past. There's a part of you that's curious, yes. A part of you that wants to know what's happening, yes. But there's also a part of you that's just steady, a part of you that knows on some level that whatever this is, you can handle it. Whether it's good news or challenging news, whether it's something that benefits you or something you need to navigate carefully, you're ready. Not because you've prepared for every possible scenario, not because you have a perfect plan, but because you've learned to trust yourself. You've learned that you don't need to know everything in advance to move forward effectively. You've learned that uncertainty doesn't have to equal fear. You've learned that sometimes the best response is simply to stay present, to stay grounded, to wait for clarity instead of forcing it. And that's exactly what this moment is asking of you. There's a probability that whatever's being planned, whatever's in motion, it could become clear sooner than you expect. There's also a probability that it might take longer, that you might get pieces of information gradually rather than all at once. Either way, you don't need to know right now. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to predict every outcome. You don't need to be 10 steps ahead. You just need to be here, present, aware, responsive. Does this make sense? Because I'm seeing a version of you that's evolved beyond the need for constant certainty. A version of you that can sit with unknowing without it destabilizing you. A version of you that can sense big energy moving, and instead of panicking or obsessing, you just observe. You just notice. You just stay aware. And from that place of awareness, you make clear decisions based on what actually shows up, not what you imagine might show up. That's power, real power. Not the power to control what other people do, not the power to force outcomes, but the power to remain centered regardless of what's happening around you. Now, let's talk about the shock element, because there's this energy of surprise, of things potentially being different than they appear, of information that might shift your understanding of a situation. And shock is just a nervous system response to something unexpected. It's not inherently good or bad. It's just new information meeting old assumptions. And when that happens, there's a moment of recalibration, a moment where your brain goes, oh, okay, this is what's actually true. Let me adjust. And then you adjust. You integrate the new information. You update your understanding. You make new choices based on what you now know. It's a process, and it's a process you're familiar with. You've been shocked before. You've had moments where reality didn't match your expectations. You've had situations where what you thought was happening turned out to be something else entirely, and you survived those moments. You didn't just survive them, you learned from them. You grew from them. You became someone who can handle surprises with more grace, more groundedness, more clarity. So if there is a shock coming, if there is a moment where things become clear in a way that feels unexpected, you're equipped for it. You're not the same person you were the last time something caught you off guard. You're sharper now, more aware, more connected to your own inner knowing. And that makes all the difference. Have you noticed this evolution in yourself? This increased capacity to handle the unexpected? Let me know in the comments, because what I keep sensing is whatever's being planned, whatever might be in motion, there's a part of you that already knows more than you think you know. Your intuition has been picking up on things. Your body has been responding to energy shifts. Your awareness has been tracking patterns even when your conscious mind hasn't fully processed them yet. So when things become clear, if things become clear, there's a probability that part of you won't actually be that shocked. Part of you might go, yeah, I kind of sense that. I just didn't want to believe it yet. Or, yeah, that makes sense now that I see the full picture. Because you're more tuned in than you give yourself credit for. You're more aware than you sometimes acknowledge. You've been sensing this all along. You just haven't had confirmation yet. And maybe you don't need it. Maybe the confirmation isn't actually going to change anything for you. Maybe you've already made your peace with multiple possible outcomes. Maybe you've already decided how you're going to move regardless of what gets revealed. And if that's true, if you're already at peace with uncertainty, then there's no shock that can destabilize you. There's no revelation that can knock you off center, because you're not depending on any particular outcome to be okay. You're already okay, right here, right now, in this moment of not fully knowing. You're okay. And whatever becomes clear in the coming days, weeks, or months, you'll still be okay. Not because nothing affects you, not because you don't care, but because you've built something inside yourself that's stronger than external circumstances. You've built trust in your own ability to navigate whatever shows up. You've built confidence in your own resilience. You've built a foundation that doesn't crumble when things get unexpected. And that's what carries you through. So here's what I want you to sit with. Instead of trying to figure out what they're planning, what's being prepared, what might be coming, what if you just focused on who you are right now? What if you focused on strengthening your own clarity, your own boundaries, your own sense of self? What if you focused on being so grounded in your own truth that whatever anyone else does, it doesn't shake you? Because that's what's actually available to you. Not control over their plans, not certainty about their intentions, but absolute sovereignty over your own response, over your own peace, over your own choices, over your own path forward. And when you're rooted in that, when you're centered in your own power, it doesn't matter what they're planning. It doesn't matter if it's big or small, expected or surprising, aligned with what you want or completely different, because you're not waiting for their move to determine your next step. You're already moving. You're already clear. You're already on your path. And whatever they bring to the table, you'll handle it with grace, with clarity, with groundedness, not because you're unaffected, but because you're unshakable. There's a difference. Being unshakable doesn't mean nothing moves you. It means you can be moved and still return to center. It means you can feel shock and still trust yourself. It means you can be surprised and still know you're going to be okay. And that's where you are right now, in a place of readiness that doesn't require knowing every detail in advance, in a place of strength that doesn't depend on controlling outcomes, in a place of peace that exists regardless of what anyone else is doing. So let them plan, let them prepare, let them build whatever they're building. You're not sitting around waiting to react. You're living your life. You're building your own foundation. You're moving in your own direction. And when the time comes for clarity, if the time comes for clarity, you'll meet that moment exactly as you are. Grounded, aware, ready, not because you predicted it, not because you controlled it, but because you trust yourself, and that trust, that's unbreakable. Does this resonate with where you are right now? Comment below and let me know what's shifting for you. I don't sell futures. I build architects. No predictions, just the raw truth for the tough ones. Stay magic. Stay in the now.